Yesterday, we talked about preseason college All-Americans that the Guardians could target in the 2024 draft. Today, we'll talk about the high school guys. While nobody in the high school range might be in the number one pick range, we'll talk about where those guys should fit on the Guardians board. And it's everybody's favorite projection season. Will the Guardians be able to outperform their playoff odds and standings projections? Guardians promo schedule is out. Who is going into the Guardians Hall of Fame later this year? And I can assure you, Jeff, it will not be someone with the number of 6, which used to have a proud tradition in Cleveland history, no longer does.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. The number 6. Yeah, what? Alex Escobar doesn't do it for you. It's not Lou Marson, Zach Walters, Brandon. Hey, Brandon Geyer had an 80 grade tool. We talked about this organization lacking high end tools. He was 80 grade at hit by pitches.
Holbert Cabrera, was in there. He had a nice moment in Cleveland history, and
solid bench.
Bip Roberts, right? There was a good Cabrera story, and then Bip Roberts also has a key moment in Cleveland history, as does a player who made his major league debut in the number 6. We'll talk about that later, though.
Yeah, we got some fun names in there. Not as fun as Stuffy Sternweiss, who's coming up.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of stuffies anymore. We need some more stuffies. I
mean, not Stuffy. I'm sorry, Snuffy.
Snuffy. It's even better.
Snuffy,
I mean, there have been some big names who have worn number 6, but since then it has been pretty ugly. What's not ugly is the preseason All-Americans. As again, we talked yesterday about the college guys. These are all on Baseball America. They are picked by MLB scouting directors. So this is a pretty good judge of guys that are going to be top of their class. Jeff has not seen the list. He guessed yesterday. We'll see if he can guess a couple today. It's a little bit different.
I feel good about catcher, so watch me get this one wrong.
Go just go ahead and throw it out there then.
Cade Arrambide.
Yeah, Arrambide. Okay. He is number 1. Yeah, catcher.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of these guys are necessarily in play number 1, but we can discuss that.
Second round, I think.
Yeah, we could talk about where they fit in the Guardians board. So
Arrambide's got some power. He's some good base tools. I thought he could even be a potential first rounder. People are not quite as high, but he's, if you want some power,
talented. Yeah. There is one underclassman that made the first team. I'm sure you can guess who the underclassman is.
Underclassman made the first. I can't.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a famous name. You should know the last name. He's already the top prospect in baseball, but he's related to the top prospect in baseball.
Oh, it's the next Holliday.
It's Ethan Holliday. He's the only underclassman to make the first team preseason All-American. He's
sometimes I always want, not to knock on him, but it's like, the guys who get anointed early, it's a really bad track record.
It is.
It's like that's a kiss of death. And B, it's like we talked about with man, the Naylor family is going to hate me, but Miles Naylor being over, not to say that Ethan isn't a good prospect. He might very well be, but just because of his last name, he's going to get more eyes than anyone
else.
Hype
is dangerous. Yeah. Why don't you throw out a couple names that you're sure are on this list, and we can talk about instead of guessing by position, throw out a couple names you think for sure on the list.
Morlando, who's the top prep player to me. I mean, I think he is very cleanly the top prep hitter in this class. I don't think it's close. He is the closest. Listen, I say that way too much. Listen, but back in, was it 2019, everyone loved Austin Hendricks. Everyone loved Zach Veen. Everyone loved Robert Hassel. My number 1 prep outfielder heading into that the fall was Dylan Cruz. It was not any of those guys. I was higher on him than I was on that group. And why? Because it's the same things I'm seeing in Morlando, using the whole fields, strong eye in the zone, able to pull the ball, but also, smart enough, can go opposite field, but, just a complete hitter. Now, again, he's also going to be old for the class. He's not going to stick around for Cleveland. So I don't know why I'm giving a big long story for him, but I think he's interesting.
And
Konnor,
I also like for Morlando too is the Team USA success too. That's always something that teams value. I mean, if you're not a high school player that plays in the Cape, obviously, so Team USA is one of those circuits that if you prove yourself well on, that can be kind of similar for prep players. And Morlando has a lot of success there. He doesn't strike out, so there are Guardians type traits there for Morlando, but I just don't know if he can do enough. And because he's listed as a corner infielder on the first team ballot, but I think he's an outfielder for sure, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do enough to.
And it's a
sway
good
the Guardians
class.
from taking one of the. Yeah, it's you got to go with the strength here. So I don't know if anybody on this list necessarily is going to push their way into 1-1. There could be, but again, I think the odds are low right now.
Some of these guys could find their way on this team just through second round picks, through a comp pick. We saw them go prep last year and go high ceiling with Clemmy and take a big swing. I mean, I love Ralphie, but nothing is riskier than drafting a prep catcher. Like that's riskier than a prep pitcher.
Is it?
So the data
shows has worked out pretty good at least, but he was also moved to catcher. He was an infielder first.
Yeah, he
was drafted as a catcher, but he played third base in the
Bo Naylor's been great, but okay, so Konnor Griffin is one of them. I'm assuming
a guy. Yeah, he's on there. He's obviously someone that people
young for the class, big tools, but a lot of swing and miss.
Yeah, he's a favorite of a lot of people as far as a top high school player. There's a lot of tools there for sure, but he's definitely not Max Clark. He's definitely not.
No.
Who was the other outfielder last year that the Twins took?
Walker Jenkins.
Yeah, he's not Walker Jenkins. Like, there's a very big. Again, Konnor Griffin is a tooled up player. He's a very talented player.
Yeah, I mean, and if you go back to the Max Clark 2 years ago when there was that great prep class, like none of these guys would be top 5 in that class. I don't think necessarily.
Too much risk at number 1 for Konnor Griffin. Yeah. Who else do you got in this?
Can I switch to some pitching? Do we got Caminiti in the pitching?
Yeah, he's there. A lot of hype on Caminiti. It's Cam. That is Ken Caminiti's nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of people really
very talented player.
Really like him, 2-way guy, but I think he's a pitcher all the way.
And he's on here as a pitcher.
Yeah. Is Caleb Bonemer the shortstop or the third baseman?
He's listed as a corner infielder. They don't have any short. They have middle infielder and shortstop.
I think he's got a chance. He's a good athlete. He's got pop, and he's that guy where if he's sitting there at 36, cold weather, right-handed, but not necessarily. But he's got a lot of good traits that just keep him in the, I think the back of
he's got some Team USA success too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did, and that really helped elevate his profile over the summer. He is one of the guys who had the best summer bumps. Is Noah Franco listed as an outfielder or a left-handed pitcher?
He didn't make the first team. He made second team, and he is listed as an infielder.
Which he's okay. That makes sense. I think he's a first baseman. Just a lot of places list him as an outfielder, but I think he's more first base.
Yeah, he's the high school Jack Caglione, basically, at this point.
And he's another reclassify. Konnor, Franco, and Caminiti are all reclassified. So how about a favorite of you and mine, Joey Oakie?
Joey Okie's on there. I love Joey Oakie. He's an Iowa commit. Already has good size, but has a lot of projection to grow into. Crazy spin rates. I think he's already up to 96 off the mound. He's got a really funky sort of low release point that gives him a good vertical approach angle, kind of like Logan Allen, which is a trait Cleveland really likes. He's a strike thrower. I like Joey Oakie as a I don't think he's going to last to 48, but I think 36 is a good spot for him, but it depends on what Cleveland does in the first round. I don't think Iowa is as strong of a pull as something as, I mean, Clemmy last year, Clemmy was a Vandy commit and they bought him out of that. Iowa
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'll also say Iowa's got 3 pitchers that are going to get drafted this year, so they're doing something right. They got 3 guys who will probably be gone before the end of the third round. That's better than like Vandy will have this year. It's going to be better than just about anyone outside of Wake. So it's interesting. If I'm going center infielders, that's not a term. If I'm going middle infielders, Bryce Rainier and Owen Pano would be the other 2 guys I'd be thinking might make it.
They both made second team. Pano has a lot of Cleveland traits. Yeah. Rainier, isn't Rainier a two-way player?
Yeah. Right-handed pitcher and a shortstop, isn't he?
Yeah. He's listed as an infielder, but yeah. The other guy that's on here, it's interesting, just in the interest of time, is Levi Sterling, who I think is maybe.
Yeah. He's going to be my next guest.
Yeah. I have a feeling I have a feeling that Sterling does not make it to 36.
Derek Curiel, second team.
Yeah, Derek Curiel is a second teamer.
And then here's one just for me being nosy because it's like I can walk there, and I actually nearly ended up working in this district. Is JD Dix, the shortstop, listed?
He is not.
He's the top guy in Wisconsin this year. Played
not any of the 3 teams. They did
played with Council's kids.
Okay, yeah. Bryce Rainier made the 3rd team as a pitcher, by the way. He made 2nd team as an infield, 3rd team as a pitcher. He's the only one to do that, by the way.
Did Senior Speed, I'm coining that name, Dante Nori make
yes,
it? Yes,
he's a 1st teamer.
Okay. For those who don't know,
him.
He's one of the fastest.
Take him at 36.
And it would make the one thing you say about him is he's already 19. Though they did take some overage guys, but I was just kind of curious because I've lists in front of me. I was looking. I'm shocked that MLB gave him a 65 speed with what we've seen this offseason, with just how quickly he runs. I'm
going to point out one more outfielder on this list I mean, some people like him. I have friends that also like him that are draft nicks too.
And then I got one more guy to guess for a corner after that.
Yeah. Slade Caldwell's on this list, and I realized Slade. Yeah, he's 5'9". Did you know that?
Yes.
He is super small.
He is. That's the only if Slade Caldwell was 6'2", he'd be the top prep player in this class. I was hoping he would get to 36. I don't think he's going to get there. It's like Jet Williams, but even more athletic. He's a dynamo. He does everything. It's the size, and I should have guessed him.
Do you want to guess now?
Probably my number 2 prep hitter in this class after Morlando.
Wow. Okay. Jeff, you have one more guess? Let's do that after.
Aiden Harris, the third baseman, who has got massive. He has the best raw power of any prep hitter I've seen so far.
He ended up on the 2nd list on the 2nd team. I'm sorry. No, Aiden Harris is 3rd team.
Okay.
Very shocking. 3rd team corner infield. All right. I think we've talked a lot about the draft here. We got some other stuff we want to get to today. We can maybe talk more about draft, but a couple things we want to get to as well, talking about the projections. Everybody loves projections. Nobody understands projections. Nobody likes them because people think that they are always wrong. But it's just a way to gauge where teams are in the middle of
Gage Jump. What we're talking about him? No, okay.
We can talk about Gage Jump, so we can talk about him. We'll talk about him later, and then who's going into the Guardians Hall of Fame later this summer? We'll talk about that as well. Well, that Guardians Hall of Fame game might be a hot ticket. If you're looking for a hot ticket to any event, whether it's a sporting event, a concert, I don't know if you can get big game tickets with this, but you can try because Game Time has exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals for everything: comedy, theater, music, sports. I used Game Time to buy tickets to see the Cavs on the Kelsey Brothers bobblehead night because it was a hot ticket and my wife really wanted to go. She's a big Kelsey fan. Before the Taylor Swift days, I got to view the seat before I bought it. All the prices up front, so you know what you're getting into before you check out. The tickets are really easy to buy. And with the Game Time guarantee, you will always get the best price. If you find a ticket to your event in the same section and row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Who does that? Nobody does that, but Game Time does that. So take the guesswork out of buying. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but create that account and redeem our code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, we're not going to spend a lot of time on projections here because I think people really just hate projections because they're always saying, well, the projections hate my team and they're always wrong. But it's really just a range of outcomes. Like it's thousands of simulations and it just takes the average, the most common outcome. So if you sim the Guardian season 1,000 times based on projected,
it's going to take the median outcome. So it's going to take. It's not going to take the most common. It's going to take all of them and make a median box graphs and find out what the medium range is and find out okay, we take all of this data, we put all of these seasons in a line. This is the one that is in the kind of not necessarily the middle, but is the middle point of all of the data. Excluding the outliers, excluding the extreme outliers.
Yes, most.
So it's not average. median is different than average. And, that's one of those things.
I wasn't a math major.
When I recently, and eventually we get to this, I spent a lot of time doing some data on the number one overall pick, and I did average values and median values for every pick in the top 20 over the last 20, not over the last 20 years, but about 2015 in terms of draft picks, because the recent ones, there's just not enough. But yeah.
PECOTA, which is Baseball Prospectus's projection system, which includes stats from the teams. They've got Cleveland 83. It's technically 83.6 and 78.4. Obviously, you can't lose 78.4 games, and you can't win 83.6, but it's pretty close to 84 wins, which I think is about an outcome you can expect. It has the Twins winning 88 games, which, that's certainly could happen. They have the Guardians playoff odds at 42%, which sound good. But really, when you look at the rest of the landscape, it's really high on the Yankees. It has the Yankees winning the second most games in baseball, in the AL, I should say, at 94.5 and Houston 94.6. I think this goes without saying. Cleveland, if the Cleveland is going to make the playoffs in 2024, it is division or bust, because you're not going to beat Baltimore. You're not going to beat Tampa Bay. You're not going to beat Texas or Houston. They're all making the playoffs. I think only one team comes out of the AL Central. I think
there can only be one.
There can only one mediocre team. That's not a hot take. The simulated win percentages are interesting because then PECOTA gives you the range of outcomes. So the outliers that they do exclude from these, but they do show what they were. The outliers for Cleveland were below a 400 winning percentage, which is pretty brutal, but not as bad as the outliers in the rest of the division. And their high end was about 640 winning percentage, which is pretty good. The Twins, though, their highest expected winning percentage, or simulated winning percentage, I should say, is about 690, which seems unfathomable. But my God, the White Sox projections, their lowest is below 300 winning percentage, and their highest is 550. And it just, the Royals are in the same boat. The Tigers are roughly in the same boat. There is an outcome where the Tigers have a 600 winning percentage. It's pretty bad. So if you want fan graphs real quick, they are projecting Cleveland to go 80 and 82 roughly, with some remainder there. The thing that I don't love is they have got Cleveland with a -11 run differential, which means they're going to give up on average 4.5 runs a game and score. They're a little under 5 runs a game, and they're going to score under 5 runs a game. It's barely -11. It's barely 0. I think they have enough pitching to, like, the runs allowed per game is technically 4.56. I think they have enough pitching to make that a lot lower number, but 4.5 runs a game offensively actually sounds really good for the Guardians offense feels like right now. Am I wrong? Like, if you told me right now, if I told you right now the Guardians are going to average 4.5 runs a game, would you be pretty happy with that?
Yes, I would. I think, with their struggles last year, and we talked about this before, and I've touched on it. Like, a lot of second year guys tend to regress, and with them putting a lot on second year guys, and that while you and I think Tanner Bivey is going to be fine, there's a lot of people who look at the data and think a regression is coming there. So I think some of this is just the data on, second year players, the data on their pitchers. The data is always going to be bad on Logan Allen. We also talked about why he overperforms his expectations. So I'm not surprised by this. I just think that, this is what you kind of expect. But yeah, I will take 4.5 runs any day of the week. Yeah.
And that's it is the second worst offense in the division projection wise. The White Sox come in at 4.33. The Twins only have 4.65, but their runs allowed per game is 4.45. And they did get the Twins bullpen is improving. I mean, they got Justin Topa, who I don't know how good he'll be. They did just sign
Jay Jackson. Repeat it, right?
Yeah. Their bullpen has a chance to be really good. Their rotation's pretty meager. It's just funny to see their pitching staff is projected to allow less runs per game on average. That kind of surprises me. The offense is where it is, but the Royals are projected to score 4.6 runs a game, which is more than Cleveland. I find that hard to believe, even though they have some good bats in that lineup. But yeah, I would take 4.5. And Cleveland's got a 33% chance of making the playoffs, according to Fangraphs, I'd say that's about right. I think that 33% is about right. But again, that's only because if they don't win the AL Central, they're not going. I don't see any other path as of right now, but we'll discuss that a lot further as the season goes on. We'll talk about what's going to happen during the season. Who is going to the Guardians Hall of Fame? Other fun games that could be happening this summer. The Guardians did release their promo schedule. We'll touch a little bit on that. And we'll talk about all those good players that used to wear number 6 for the Guardians, as we're 6 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting, and the ones that are not so good anymore, which has been a lot, unfortunately. All coming up.
Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks. I can have some salted black licorice right here. Just to take a snack in the middle of the show. I know everything right now with FanDuel is all about, and we'll get to the rest of it. I just want to point out they have posted their MLB totals, 78.5 over under for the Guardians. I'm going to again say bet the over, so watch them disappoint, but 78 feels...
Ooh, that'd be rough.
I do like player specials in here for home run, regular season home run leaders, not a one Guardian. Jack Sawinski from the Pirates is higher than Jose Ramirez. You could have just a fun category of guys they think will hit more home runs than Jose Ramirez this year. Ryan Mountcastle. I could pull others. It's interesting. Go check it out for yourself. You can look at win totals. You can look at awards. You can look at all that stuff over at FanDuel. I do have my issues with them, though. No Jose on the list. The last guy listed, Nolan Jones. That's an arrow to the heart.
Ouch.
For Guardians fans. FanDuel has many ways for you to get a W this season. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for who will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports partner of the NFL.
Even though Cleveland doesn't want to generate any buzz themselves about their season ahead, other than sending out emails and not making players available for interviews, and we'll just leave it at that. Even though there's some issues there, we're still going to talk about the promotion schedule because there are some fun things that were on there. I mean, I know you'd be interested in this because we're both Star Wars nerds. May 4th, obviously. May the 4th be with you. Stephen Kwan's Star Wars bobblehead at night. I'm all for that.
I wonder if did that start with that Alice girl who did the first meme with that. I wonder if they'll
maybe. I know the Nationals did a Juan Soto one. They did.
I know it's like it started like in one spot, so hopefully they give a shout out to I'm just saying it may not be the biggest social media account, but it'd just be nice if they showed some attention on people who support their team. That's all.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I would not know anything about that. There's a bobblehead for Jose Ramirez, May 19th. Josh Naylor. This is interesting. Josh Naylor bobblehead night on June 22nd, Jeff. They have a musical guest that night. Could you, if I give you 100 attempts to guess this, I don't think you would ever guess who the musical guest is. It's a DJ, but he's not really a DJ. He's a former athlete who's becoming the musical guest.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. I'm just hoping if I say it enough, I can juice the SEO.
SEO.
It is going for SEO here. Oh,
former athlete.
Who else is big for what?
It's not
Tate
Ben
McRae
Broussard.
was at the All-Star game. So is that for the NHL?
No, it's a former athlete, former actual athlete, professional.
They're athletes. I don't know.
Tate McRae's not an athlete. Neither is Taylor Swift.
I mean, you dance around and do things. That takes athleticism to some degree. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
It's not Ben Broussard. It's not Omar Vizquel, who both played instruments. It is Shaquille O'Neal. DJ Diesel, aka Shaquille O'Neal, is doing the post-game press conference.
Being excited
concert
to listen to his rap songs on the radio when I was a small child. By that I mean like 11 or 12 when he was a rookie, and he would do his like Shaqzilla songs, and I was like, I remember like trying to find them on the radio, like taking the little dial and turning it in the early 90s because I would watch, NBA inside NBA on Saturday mornings in between my cartoons and then get excited about Shaq. Shaq is one of the larger than life figures of my youth, so that's fun.
Well, you can show up June 22nd wear your Cleveland Cavaliers Shaquille O'Neal jersey and get yourself a Josh Naylor bobblehead, and Shaquille O'Neal will do the post-game concert. All kinds of good stuff going on. The one I'm most interested in, though, is on August 3rd, which is the next Cleveland Hall of Fame inductee, not Baseball Hall of Fame, not Guardians, not Indians, whatever it is. It's going to be Cleveland Hall of Fame. So they are inducting a new member of the Hall of Fame to go into the what is that in center field? I should know what it's called.
The Hall of Fame Park or whatever this was.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So they're putting a new player in there. And I tried to look at the schedule to see if that was a giveaway, like who they were playing, because my hope here was they were playing the White Sox, and Grady Sizemore would be in town, and they would induct Grady Sizemore. But they are not playing the White Sox on August 3rd. They are playing the Orioles. So I don't know who on the Orioles they would induct that would be a former Cleveland player. So my only guess here, it's not a fun one, it's CC Sabathia. I know
Ronnie Belliard.
Ronnie Belliard. I'm down for Ronnie Belliard. Could we get Scott Sauerbeck in there? Scott Sauerbeck, most famous in Cleveland for, I think, public urination. Would that be right? Was that him?
I don't remember.
Jeremy Guthrie was on that 2005 too. We can get Jeremy Guthrie in the Hall of Fame.
Is this why I bring up Roberto Alomar, and then we all remember
we
that
will not go to there? No, we will not go there.
That him and Omar are maybe the dirtiest double play combo in recent sports history.
That could mean a lot of things. Yeah, I got CC. I mean, if it's not great, I think CC's the next in line because CC's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Is Hafner in
January?
Hafner feels like someone.
I don't think
with the guys
is in. No,
with the guys, the kind of the level of induction they've been going with. I feel like Hafner is one of those guys who could potentially get in as well.
Yeah, I think Hafner. I mean, I think it's CC just because he'll be on the Hall of Fame ballot come January 2025. He probably, I don't know if he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he will be. He won 300 games. I don't see why he shouldn't be. He definitely isn't going into Cooperstown with a Cleveland hat, but I think he makes the most sense. Or you had a dark horse. You pointed out one before the show. Who do you think it could be already?
Oh, it could be Tito. Like if he's done. He's was kind of the first one that came to mind.
I could see that. So if you're watching on YouTube, we do have the list of promotions on there because we're not paid by the Guardians to do this, but we are trying to be good good podcast hosts and good share info and help build momentum.
We enjoy the Guardians. We want people to enjoy them. We want to support them. We want them to do well. And at the core, we do support this front office.
We've always they're good.
We've always been very pro front office and everything else. So
if they won't build momentum for their season, I guess we will, with or without the help of.
It's still weird to me, just on a very basic level, that they're like still the only team that doesn't hype their guys with those videos when they get the call up. Like on a very there's a lot of they leave so much on the margins and like every way, and that's the one frustration I have.
Right now, Brayan Rocchio, we're 6 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting. Brayan Rocchio is currently the title holder of number 6 on the Guardians. It has been a long time since the Guardians had a good number 6. I will point out that Jim Thome made his debut wearing number 6. I'm a Tominator. Tony's my homie. Vip Roberts, I think, is most famous for getting hit by a batting practice ball in Game 6 of the 97 ALCS where he couldn't start at second base, so Tony Fernandez had to be put in the lineup, and lo and behold, he hits the game-winning homer. Wilber Cabrera, who has one of the most famous walk-off hits in Cleveland history, the comeback game in 2001 against the Mariners. It's a mixed bag after that, Jeff. It's pretty bad. I do. Alex Escobar, Lou Marson, Nigel Morgan, Tony Plush. I was excited for Tony Plush.
Yeah, I mean, you go through, there are some fun ones, like Ken Keltner, who we mentioned recently, had that. Minnie Minoso, when he was... They traded him away. They got him back, traded him away, and he had it. Larry Doby had it for a year.
Bob Lemon was number 6.
Yeah, Bob Lemon had it. Eddie Robinson had it. Rocky Colavito, and then when they traded him, Harvey Kuhn
Harvey
had the
Kuhn.
number.
What a slap in the face that was. Jeez.
And then
so one time, good players did have this number.
Joe Azaku was here for a long time, was a solid guy. And then Andy Allenson, the banjo playing catcher. If you're my age, you definitely remember the 1980s Sports Illustrated, rest in peace, Sports Illustrated story with pictures of Allenson playing the banjo.
Well, it's no pressure, Brayan Rocchio, but it is your task this year to bring glory back to the number 6 jersey in Cleveland history. No pressure there, guy. We don't have interviews coming up for the Guardians. That's another story. What we do have coming up tomorrow's episode, though, is Cole Mathis, who we mentioned earlier this week, from the College of Charleston. His dad played in the Indians minor leagues for a couple years, and he's had some Cape Cod League success last year. We talked about him as one of the preseason All-Americans in college, and he has some Guardians-like traits that could make him a target in the second or third round for Cleveland. We'll see about after that, but he's going to be on the show tomorrow, so we're excited to talk about him. And I think we'll talk about we'll do the prospect tools draft next week, and then next week we also have Baseball America's Carlos Colazo. If I can spell his name right on here, that would be nice. Sorry, Carlos. He'll be on with us next week. We'll have our second annual Guardians prospect draft after that. And then later in February, we will have an interview with Andre Knott from spring training.
Well, thank you all for joining us, rating and reviewing, downloading. It helps. Make sure you're an everydayer, like David Lane, who's always saying kind things in the comments, or John, I think it's John Fagan in there. I'm so
always
bad.
A good commenter. Hey, thanks for all the birthday shout outs, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you all for being kind to Justin. He is turning a big 13 years old today, so we can all
the youngest guest or co-host on the Locked On Network. Yeah. All right. Love it.
But we got to go because he's got to go to bed. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Do your part. We love each and every one of you, especially our everydayers. And go Guardians.
Merry Kurtzmas.